feel like I used to be a lot better at the game, basically. I
Yeah,
feel like my
sure.
mechanical skills deteriorated a lot. But I know in Overwatch, you can really make up for that if you just understand the game and know how to play it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I know my mechanical skill's not good, or at least not as good as it used to be. I just don't know what else I'm doing wrong while I'm, trying to work that back up.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. What do you think would be three heroes you would like to play? Maybe kind of we can create that top list sort of and
hmm
then think about what we can play potentially, what those heroes might be.
Ash and Cassidy are always the two I gravitate, mostly Ash. And then
Okay.
Hanzo probably the would be like the third one. If
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've played this game since launch on Overwatch 1, so I can kind of just play everything decently enough. So it's kind of hard to
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I think that is something to start with anyway, kind of thinking
hmm
what are the priorities for me at the moment, so we're not just playing everything at once, and not only uh, not only we play multiple roles where we build conflicting habits, yeah, we're avoiding that, but we also trying to really focus on two, three heroes and just get better at those specific micros, at those specific the specifics of abilities or anything else related to those heroes, because that's realistically what we really need. You don't need to be good at every hero if you're looking to go
Right.
pro even. Yeah, you just there's no need and you don't have time to do that.
No, I understand that. I
Mhm.
guess I kind of have always like ever since Overwatch 1, it's always kind of been my mindset that I should at least be able to flex into anything because there's
Right.
going to be situations where you might need to swap into something, and if you're not
Mhm.
comfortable on something and can't swap into it, you could
Mhm.
potentially hold the team back.
Yeah, there might be cases where we need to swap. We can actually talk about that a little bit more. Realistically, the first focus is always making sure you have those heroes which you enjoy the most. That is the first focus because you basically get motivated to learn and play those
hmm
heroes. But then another thing is thinking what are those situations might be where you need to pick those heroes. So basically, you create such a pool which allows you to be strong in any situation. And if you gonna be that player who is gonna be strong in every situation again, you don't need every hero in your pool. You just
Right.
need two or three heroes, especially in this current situation. No watch, there's much more potential to carry the fight because there are less variables. Basically, kind of well. Let's just say, yeah, let's just use this kind of thing. There's more carry potential. I'm just gonna put it this way, and
Yeah.
that's why thinking about three heroes is can be good. We can think about exact hero pool a little bit more later if you want. But to describe situations, I usually like to differentiate between are you in a short range situation where you playing some sort of brawl composition? Are you in a situation where you have a lot of long range variables? Kind of you name it poke composition, for example, or are you in a situation where you need a lot of mobility? That's what you really need to think about and have such pool which allows you to flex to have quality time in any of those situations. Does it make sense?
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
Okay, okay. Playtime. Yeah, playtime is another thing. 100%. If you can increase it, I think it should help a lot. I usually suggest, as a minimum, trying to aim towards 10 hours per week. There is amount of hours where we can see significant improvement. It's still possible to climb with less playtime, but we're just gonna think about how to increase efficiency, how to be more effective with your practice, basically. hmm
Yeah, that's why I feel like my mechanical skills deteriorated so much, is because it's not so much really that I necessarily took a break from the game, because I always kind of jumped in and played it. Like I've finished every battle pass, for example, but it's more so I guess I just haven't made the time to properly give myself room to climb, I guess. I
Mhm.
it's just too much on and off and too much off time. And I know that's a big factor.
Mhm.
So that's something I'm working on. I just need to
Exactly.
make the time for it.
Exactly. Exactly. Being consistent with your playtime, making sure you do it every day rather than playing a lot in during one day, kinda. That helps
Hmm.
a lot as well. But yeah. So that is something we can aim for. Aim to play 10 hours per week. Okay. What is your warm-up routine? If you do any
Um,
warm-up at the moment.
yeah, I do. If it's like early in the morning and I just woke up and I need to like warm my body up, I actually play the rhythm game Osu a little bit, because I play
Sure.
mouse keyboard on that. And that kind of gets my like mouse control
Mm-hmm.
down, and then I usually go into the training ground with um probably Ash, Hanzo, or Cassidy.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a little bit of all of them. Sometimes Kiriko. I just want to kind of warm up both my projectile and my hit scan, kind of like aim. Make sure, and then once I feel
Mm-hmm.
comfortable, basically, I don't really have a set time that I do it. It's just kind of sitting in the training ground until I feel comfortable. I
Mm-hmm.
do have a lot of custom games for training too.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I use those Strafe Aim trainers, Popcorn Sky Arena, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, so what I hear, there's a lot of training involved where you you actually train in game, right? You actually trying to aim
Hmm.
at the target and you warming up properly. I think if also helps, why not? That that can be quite good. Mm, I'm thinking that you can potentially, so because we're trying to be more effective with your playtime, what I would suggest is to try to put yourself in situations where you under pressure a little bit more. So what I mean by that is that we're training in situations where you are actively getting damaged by other players, whether they shoot you back. Actually, why it's important, because when you're in a real game, a lot of times you miss your shots. It's not because you getting nervous. Oh, sorry, it's not because you uh, aim bad or something. It's because you're getting nervous. Yeah. So we basically kind of get this sort of anxiety, and then you might miss your shots. So something you can implement potentially that can be really high quality is trying to do this. Um, I'm screen sharing, by the way, so hopefully you can
Yeah,
see it. Okay.
yeah.
So you either I think let's just do this. I'm just gonna escape and then try to find. There, a lot of times there's a lobby which is called Try Hard FFA. You can find it here. Well, there's nothing for me at the moment, but if there's nothing, if there's no Try Hard FFA lobby, you can create your own. Why that lobby is good? Because you're gonna play against 12 other players, and those situations where you're trying to aim towards other players, they are more frequent compared to other game modes like deathmatch or just being in training range. Yeah, it's not as frequent where you're trying to do all those adjustments with your mouse and keyboard. So try hard FFA might be helpful, and players actually pressuring you back. If try hard FFA is not the option for some reason, there's no lobby. Something I suggest, maybe you do something similar, but just gonna show it to you because it might be important since you mentioned you struggle with aim. It's if we go in a Vaxta, that is the training where there's a lot of chaotic movement, so might be a good warm-up routine as well. It's not as good because those characters, they're not shooting back and you're not
Hmm.
using cover in real time. Like in tryhard FFA, it's possible to use any cover near you, so that's
Okay.
kind of nice. Here is just chaotic movement, but might be useful as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that I use a lot, actually.
hmm Yeah. So I would try to maybe still do what it do, but then think about how to put that try hard FFA like something similar to tryhard FFA in your routine. So you're gonna be actively playing in situations under pressure, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Because especially with that, low play time currently might be helpful. Okay, so that is something I'm gonna write down. Try hard FFA, and the entire warm up can just be 15 to 20 minutes. You don't need more. So maybe cut some time on doing that other training where you do this kind of similar to wax stud. What I showed you, you can just decrease the playtime there and then add a little bit of more try hard FFA. Most of your playtime can be dedicated to that. In terms of warm up, of course. Okay. So 15, 20 minutes. Okay. Yeah, I think everything else in the form makes sense. Do you have any specific questions, maybe?
No, I think anything I might have questions on would just be coming from when we review that VOD, if that's what we're
Yeah,
gonna do.
yeah. We can take a look at that a little. Let's just give you a couple of pointers at least. I think we have time, so let's do that.
Okay.
So that replay, I see that you sent one. It's a King's Row DPS Gold 1 lobby. Is there anything you think you struggled in there?
Towards the beginning, I think it was because we were on defense first. It was aiming at the Genji that was kind of destroying us. But honestly, I don't really have much of a direction. Like I think maybe my positioning was bad, but that's just like a guess. The
Okay,
problem is I don't know what would have been bad about it is the thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's why I'm here to help you out.
Yeah,
That's fine. Something I also think about is, since you mentioned you warming up both projectile and hit scan, with your playtime, I think good suggestion might be is to lean towards one style of aiming. Why? Because we don't have time to warm up on every uh every style of aim. So trying to lean towards something, either hit scan or projectile, might be more helpful. In your case, it seems like leaning towards hit scan should be better. So maybe removing Hanzo from your pool and adding something else could be helpful. Just saying, because yeah, see, play Cassidy Ash, so that is something you can do. Okay, and in terms of the replay, well, what is your thought process? Is there anything specific you think about before the game starts?
I mean, typically I look at what the team is playing and I try to think about where I can put my ultimate in terms of like how many fights I'm gonna have to wait, who I can synergize with. But other than that, it's mostly just waiting for the other team to come out and seeing what I'm dealing with. Because I kind of have the ideal that if I lose first fight and I'm outmatched because of my hero, I can always swap because they keep ult charge now. So losing first fight's not really that bad.
Okay, well, there are a lot of potential things we can talk about based on what you said there. I'm just thinking what we can lean towards. Well, let's just kind of lean towards that really basic kind of fundamental theme is, what is your positioning? Yeah, what is... let's think about map control. So if we're looking at this situation, what kind of area your team is looking to control? What is that exactly?
The chokes are probably around that statue, and you always want to be watching the flanks from hotel as well.
Exactly. Why watching flanks from hotel is important?
Because it's really easy access, like where that Mercy's standing. It'd be really easy for that like Genji that's already going in there to go after. Most of the time the supports are using that hotel as cover. The reason that they would use hotel as cover as opposed to going over where like that Torbjorn is because they kind of have like an easier escape, I guess, to get back towards spawn.
Right. I just wanted to see why the red actually gonna most likely win this fight? What is that they're doing what your team or maybe you not actively involved at? So we're just gonna play it. We see the Genji going to the hotel and the Echo actually flying over the laptop. To me, your team at really big positional disadvantage at the moment, and there's a big chance you might lose the fight unless the enemy they not overusing their abilities or they just kind of engaging way too hard, right? So what is that they're doing? What your team is not doing? Kind of. What do you think? What they did right there with that engagement from the back with the Genjis with Echo flying over there.
They put pressure on us.
They put pressure, but in what kind of way they did that? See what their position was. Yeah, that is something you want to pay attention to whenever we trying to control certain area. Is how do we take angles? How do we position ourselves to do that? So basically, if you look at your team and you in specific, all of you guys and you position to attack from one angle. It's this angle A. You have that live fever. He was sort of going from B, but all of you guys put pressure from A, where the enemy team that actually did take multiple angles of attack, which creates more pressure. Why it creates more pressure? Because, for example, Reinhardt cannot shield all those angles. That's just impossible. That's why what's really important, especially in Overwatch 2, is making sure you can take angles. You are taking angles as a DPS player, especially like Cassidy, where you have a lot of burst. You should do that. And my problem is that we play at the same angle where most of your team is. That is where your main core is. So what you need to try to do is to play with your team, still contribute to the area which they're trying to control. Let's call this area blue, but being on another angle. I usually like to call it taking off angle. Off angle is the position where you play away from your main core. So what that position might be if you're looking to control blue, where you could be instead of staying with your main core.
So are you asking me?
Yeah.
Where I should be?
What do you think?
I could potentially play from hotel because there's the health pack in there, and I could easily get back to the sports if I had to. Plus, with Cassidy's role, you can survive a lot. I would be really wary of going out and extending out by the edge of like the other side of statue. Even though the health pack's there, it would be harder to get to the sports, and I'd have to cross the choke again.
Yeah, that would be more difficult. Might be possible probably if you play at that position, like let's call it the B, if your area of which your team's trying to control is in front. So it's kind of a little bit different. I think that might be possible. Area B might be possible, but now playing at the hotel is the best option. So first of all, we are putting pressure towards an enemy team by taking off angles. That is the first layer. The second is we are preventing an enemy from taking those off angles, and see what that Genji did right there. He just took an off angle and that created massive pressure. If that would be bad Genji, actually, maybe he could get a kill right there. But the Mercy flies away, kind of gets the turret. Well, maybe not the best dash from him, but still, it did create a lot of pressure, which led to this situation where there's more pressure towards the Reinhardt and such. So, yeah, we want to make sure you take those off angles. Okay. Do you have any questions about this concept, like taking off angle? Is it clear enough, or?
No, I understand it. I think my main reason for kind of sticking back here is just because the tank was positioned so close to the point, and usually when they do that, I do just kind of take that back angle by hotel so I can look at both sides. But no, I understand what you're saying. It's hard to focus on two angles, and it puts a lot more pressure if I'm using the off angles.
Exactly. So even the tank is here. Our first idea is what is that position which allows you to create more pressure? Because we're creating more pressure, it's you saving your tank, you saving the rest of your team, not allowing the enemy to take space and just getting kills by yourself too. Okay, let's just give us another example of what kind of angles you could be taking. So obviously the enemy team, they've won angle control. That's why this first fight kind of, it's a loss, but it's okay. Can win the next one probably. Let's see what kind of angle we can take.
I was so confused by that life weaver pull.
Yeah. That
I was like,
happens.
why? I was like, why?
Okay. Now we get to this part where we're trying to control the choke in front. What do you think? What your angle can be here?
I did see the pedal there. I was about
Right.
ready to go high ground.
Right.
But other than that, just watching left side to see if they flank behind.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm kind of trying to push up and play with the tank at this point. So I'm
Right.
not really sure what else I could do.
Yeah. Yeah. So is that more important to take the paddle or stay with the tank and shoot in this direction?
Um,
What are we doing here? Right, we're shooting the Rissa. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I try not to focus like the tank too much because a lot of times nothing really happens if all you do is shoot the
Mm-hmm.
tank. You get damage, but it doesn't do anything.
Right.
So usually I'm looking for an opportunity to shoot the supports or maybe even
Right.
take a DPS if they're out of position. So I would think taking the pedal would get me better vantage point, and I can always jump back
Mm-hmm.
down if I had to.
Exactly. First priority is the setup. Second is the pressure. If it's other way around, a lot of times you get yourself in situations where the enemy team, they actually get more pressure done because they're using those positions by themselves. As an example, Echo or Genji can just go in there and it's going to be quite easy for them to shut you down because they taking this extra angle of pressure. So we're
Hmm.
trying to take the paddle. That would be the best option, and fight when most of your team is ready to fight. The main indicator is when your tank is going in. Can be quite nice, but we can talk about that more potentially. Okay, so pretty sure, and this is what gets you to pressure those supports. That's what gets you to pressure those other members on the enemy team. We want you to get the paddle, so that's nice. Just shooting towards the Anna. Trying to fight for this angle. Maybe can stay there a little bit longer, but I think that was
Yeah.
kind of reasonable. It was decent amount of pressure towards us. Maybe something what can be helpful is just seeing the how to use corners, maybe how to use your abilities in order to prevent them to go on you, right? Because Genji go on you or Echo goes on you, your offensive tools, they allow you to kind of secure the angle. It can be the grenade, but it also can be your role when you use that. So it's not just you giving up the angle when you, let's just say, you using your resources to secure the angle is the first priority, and then if you don't have any, then you drop. Yeah, and here we can
Hmm.
see you still have your role as an example. You can kind of still stay there. Okay. Okay, we have a little time left. So do you have any questions about what I mentioned so far?
No questions.
Okay. So I think if we discuss what we can do next, I think it might be definitely possible to just focus much more on that topic. It's a map control. We can work on that. But I also, so that you mentioned you want to learn how to be better coach. Just, mm, yeah, I think that. Let me just see if I'm not
Well,
mistaken.
yeah, I coach a collegiate team.
Right.
It's junior collegiate, but I guess I'm trying to improve myself to improve my coaching. So
Yeah.
as far as that goes, I'm just kind of gleaning what I can get from you um and just improving myself and hopefully improving my coaching.
Sure. That sounds good. And if there are any questions coaching related as well, feel free to message me too. But yeah, I think my suggestion would be what I do with most of my students is we do weekly sessions, we do weekly what reviews and live sessions even. In live sessions, we're gonna be specifically focused on the concepts we mentioned in the water view. So let's say we worked on map control with you today. If we go on in a live session, I'm just gonna be focused on that theme and only talking about 1-2 specific topics. I'm not gonna overwhelm you with multiple hundreds of things like a lot of people do, I think. So it's just
Hmm.
gonna be easy, step by step improvement. We're gonna fix one issue, then we gonna go and fix that other issue. I even use those kind of documents, just can show you that just so you can see. It's mm, kind of the structure, the curriculum here. We go into every theme. For example, we can focus on map control, advantageous position, skill zone, maybe it's your timing, every possible theme. And I'm just marking those on that spreadsheet so I see where we at. You can see this like all structured and serious basically. So yeah, I'm not just giving you random advice and focusing
No,
on the yeah.
yeah.
So that might be helpful, just doing those sessions. And maybe if you're looking for long-term sessions for just even more long-term improvement, it's even possible to get a training plan simply on the website, a bunch of things. And it's even cheaper actually if you looking to get multiple lessons anyway. But yeah, if you're gonna have any questions about that, just feel free to message me whenever. I have my DMs open, and I also have that Ask Me Anything channel on my Discord server. I'm sending summaries after every session based on what we learned, based on what we learned in our sessions. And here, I'm also gonna write down the tasks. Uh, Here, I just wrote down it's about your playtime, your hero pool. Something to think about is to remove Hanzo. Yeah,
Hmm.
so I'm just gonna put Hanzo as a question mark. Try hard FFA. Doing that for sure can be helpful. And if we talk about today's lesson, it was really short, but anyway, let's kind of summarize it. What we learned, what are you gonna work on based on our conversation today?
Um, taking the off angles so that we can control the fights better, control the map
Right,
better.
right, exactly. What is an off angle?
Um, the angle in which everyone else is not looking.